There are moments in life when everything feels heavy, when your chest feels tight, your thoughts are scattered, and no matter how hard you try, nothing seems to move forward. You make dua, you wait, you hope, but the situation remains the same. And slowly, a question begins to form in your heart. Is there really a way out of this? This is the exact moment where your faith is being shaped. Because ease is not what defines your relationship with Allah. It's what you do in hardship that reveals who you truly are. Anyone can say, I trust Allah when life is smooth. But when life feels impossible, when doors close one after another, when even the people you expected support from step back, that is when tawakkul becomes real. Allah never promised a life without pain, but He promised something far greater, that no difficulty is without purpose, and no hardship comes without a path hidden within it. Think about it. Sometimes what feels like a closed door is actually protection. Sometimes the delay you're frustrated with is actually mercy unfolding slowly. And sometimes what feels like the end is actually the beginning of something your limited vision could never have imagined. You see, we often measure our situation with what we can see. But Allah is Alim. He sees what you don't. You are standing in one moment of your life, feeling stuck. But Allah is looking at your entire journey, your past, your present, and your future, all at once. So when something doesn't work out the way you planned, it's not because Allah ignored you, it's because He is redirecting you. And that redirection doesn't always feel gentle. Sometimes it comes with loss, sometimes with heartbreak, sometimes with a kind of silence that makes you feel like your du'as are not being heard. But they are. Every tear you shed, every silent prayer you whisper, every moment you choose patience instead of despair, it is all seen. Not a single moment of your struggle is wasted. Allah is not just watching you, He is preparing something for you. But here is what we often forget. The way out of hardship is not always immediate change in your situation. Sometimes the first thing Allah changes is you. Your heart becomes stronger. Your dependence shifts from people to Him. Your understanding deepens. You begin to see things differently. And slowly, without even realizing it, you are no longer the same person who once felt completely broken. And then the way opens. Not always in the way you expected. Not always in the time you demanded, but in the way that is best for you. Allah says He will make a way out for those who are mindful of Him. Not a way you create, not a way people give you, a way He makes from places you could never predict. So when life feels impossible, don't let that feeling convince you that there is no solution. Your perception is limited, but His power is not. Hold on to your salah, even when your heart feels empty. Keep making dua, even when you don't see results. Stay away from what displeases Him, even when it feels easier to give in. Because your consistency in the dark moments is what leads you to the light. And remember this, the story is not over. What you are experiencing right now is just a chapter. And the one who is writing your story is the most merciful, the most wise. So trust Him, even here, especially here, because when life feels impossible, that is often the moment Allah is preparing a way you never thought could exist. When everything in life is going smoothly, it feels natural to say, I trust Allah. The heart is calm, plans are working, and there is no immediate pressure forcing you to question your strength or your faith. But that kind of trust is not tested. It is comfortable. The real weight of Iman is revealed when life begins to feel overwhelming, when things fall apart despite your efforts, and when you are left standing in a place where nothing makes sense anymore. It is in these moments that faith shifts from words to reality. When you have tried every possible solution and still find no way forward, when people around you cannot help you, and when even your own strength starts to fade, you are brought face to face with a deeper question. Do you truly rely on Allah, or was your reliance tied to things going your way? Hardship strips away illusions. It removes the false sense of control you thought you had over your life. You begin to realize how fragile your plans are and how limited your power is. And while that realization can feel frightening, it is also deeply transformative, because in that space of helplessness, something powerful begins to grow, a sincere dependence on Allah that is not based on ease, but on certainty. This is where true tawakkul is born. Not when you have options, but when you have none. Not when the path is clear, but when you are walking through uncertainty with nothing but trust in Him. You continue to make dua even when you feel unheard. You continue to pray even when your heart feels heavy. You hold on not because you see a solution, but because you believe that Allah is Qadirer over all things. And this kind of faith is not weak. When it is not passive, it is one of the strongest states a believer can reach. Because instead of collapsing under pressure, you turn toward Allah with even more sincerity. You stop relying on temporary means and begin relying on the one who controls all means. So when life feels impossible, it is not a sign that your faith is failing. It may actually be the moment your faith is becoming real, deeper, and stronger than it has ever been before. There are times when you ask Allah for something with complete sincerity, and instead of doors opening, they seem to close even tighter. You plan, you work, you hope for a certain outcome, but things don't fall into place the way you imagined. In those moments, it's very easy to feel rejected, to think that your dua was not accepted, or that you have been left without help. But what you often fail to see is that what feels like a denial may actually be a form of protection you cannot yet understand. You are living within the limits of what you can see and feel right now. You judge situations based on immediate outcomes. If something works out, you call it good. If it doesn't, you feel disappointed or even hurt. But Allah's wisdom operates far beyond that narrow frame. He knows the consequences of every path, every decision, every connection. What you are asking for might look perfect on the surface, but it could carry harm that only time would reveal. Sometimes you want something so badly that you overlook the signs. You ignore the unease in your heart, the subtle barriers that keep appearing, the way things just don't settle. And yet Allah, in His mercy, blocks that path. Not to punish you, but to protect you from something that could damage your faith, your peace, or your future. That closed door you're grieving over might have led you to a place of regret you're not strong enough to carry. There are also moments when the delay itself is the protection. You are not ready yet, even if you think you are. Your character is still being shaped, your understanding is still growing, and your connection with Allah is still developing. If you were given what you wanted immediately, it might not benefit you in the way you expect. So Allah holds it back, not out of neglect, but out of care. And this is where the internal struggle happens. Because trusting that a no or a not yet is al-khair requires a different level of faith. It requires you to believe that Allah is more merciful to you than you are to yourself. That He is not withholding al-khair, but redirecting it. That what didn't happen is just as meaningful as what did. Over time, as your life unfolds, you begin to see it. The things you once cried over, you later thank Allah for removing. The paths you were desperate to take, you realize would have taken you further away from who you were meant to be. And slowly, your qalbim learns to accept that every delay, every closed door, and every unexpected turn is not random. It is intentional, measured, and filled with a mercy you may only recognize much later. You often stand in one moment of your life and try to make sense of everything through it. What you feel right now, what you see right now, what is happening right now. It all seems so final, so defining. If things are difficult, it feels like your whole life is falling apart. If something doesn't work out, it feels like you've lost everything. But the reality is, You are only seeing a single frame, while your life is a much larger story that is still unfolding. Your understanding is shaped by what is visible to you. You connect the dots based on limited information, drawing conclusions that feel real but are incomplete. You might think, this is bad for me, or this should have happened by now, or I can't see any good in this. But what you don't realize is that there are layers of wisdom beyond what your eyes can perceive and your mind can comprehend. Allah, on the other hand, is not confined by time or perspective. He sees what has already happened, what is happening now, and what is yet to come, all at once. He knows who one moment connects to another, how one delay prevents a future harm, how one difficulty builds a strength you will need later. What feels confusing to you is already clear in His knowledge. There are things you desperately want today that, if given to you now, could disrupt something better that is meant for you later. And there are hardships you wish would disappear, not realizing they are shaping qualities within you that will carry you through challenges you haven't even faced yet. Every moment is part of a precise design, even when it feels random or unfair. The difficulty is that you are asked to trust without seeing the full picture. You are asked to believe that there is wisdom, even when your qalbum feels unsettled. And that's not easy. It requires you to step beyond your immediate emotions and remind yourself that your understanding is limited, but Allah's is not. When you begin to internalize this, something shifts within you. You stop reacting to every situation as if it is the end. You begin to pause, to reflect, to remind yourself that there is more happening than what you can see, that this moment, no matter how heavy, is not the whole story. And slowly, your qalbum finds a different kind of peace, not because everything makes sense, but because you trust the one who already knows how it all will. There are moments when you raise your hands, speak from the depth of your qalbin, and ask Allah with complete sincerity, yet nothing seems to change. Days pass, sometimes even longer, and the situation remains exactly the same. In those moments, a quiet doubt can begin to settle in. Is Allah really listening to me? It's a thought many struggle with but rarely admit. But the reality is that no dua ever goes unheard. Not a single word, not even the ones you struggle to express. Allah hears what you say, and even what you cannot put into words. He knows the double ache in your chest, the tears you hold back, and the silent conversations you have within a task. His listening is not like human listening. It is complete, constant, and deeply aware. What often creates confusion is the expectation that a response must look a certain way. You ask, and you expect a specific outcome within a specific time. When that doesn't happen, it feels like silence. But what if that silence is not emptiness, but a different form of response? Sometimes the answer to your du'ata is yes, but it is delayed because the timing is not right. There are factors you cannot see, pieces that are not yet in place. And if it were given to you immediately, it might not carry the same al-khair. So Allah, in His wisdom, prepares it gradually. Sometimes the answer is no, but even that no carries mercy. Because what you are asking for may not be good for you in ways you cannot understand right now. And instead of granting something harmful, Allah redirects you towards something better, even if you don't recognize it immediately. And sometimes the response to your da'ya is not in changing your situation, but in rewarding you in ways beyond this life. Every da'ya you make is an act of worship. It strengthens your connection with Allah, softens your heart, and reminds you of your dependence on Him. Nothing is lost. The challenge is that you are waiting for visible change, while Allah may be working in unseen ways. Your da'ya could be protecting you from harm you never encounter. It could be opening doors you haven't reached yet. It could be shaping your path in ways that only become clear later. So what feels like silence is not absence. It is a space where Allah is responding in ways you cannot yet see, but are unfolding with perfect wisdom. You often ask Allah to change your situation. You want the difficulty to be removed, the path to become clear, the pain to disappear. And there is nothing wrong with that. It is natural to seek ease and relief. But sometimes, before anything around you changes, something within you begins to shift. Quietly, gradually, and in ways you may not immediately notice. At first, you are overwhelmed. Your reactions are emotional, your patience feels thin, and your qalbum feels heavy with questions. You wonder why this is happening, why it's taking so long, why things are not improving. But as time passes, and as you continue turning to Allah, a different kind of strength begins to develop. Not the kind that removes the problem, but the kind that changes how you carry it. Your dependence slowly moves away from people and circumstances and settles more firmly on Allah. You begin to realize that nasas are limited. They may support you, but they cannot fix everything. Your qalbing starts to detach from expectations placed on others and attaches itself more sincerely to the one who is in control of all outcomes. You also start to notice a shift in your perspective. The same situation that once felt unbearable becomes something you can face with more patience. You react less impulsively. You pause more. You reflect more. You begin to ask different questions. Not just, why is this happening to me? But what is this teaching me? And how can I grow through this? And with that shift, your connection with Allah deepens. Your dua becomes more sincere, not just focused on outcomes, but on closeness to Him. Your salah becomes more meaningful. Even if the pain hasn't fully gone away, you start to find moments of sukoon, not because your life is perfect, but because your qalbum is learning where to find peace. This internal transformation is not always easy to recognize because you are still in the middle of the struggle. The situation may look the same on the outside, but you are not the same person anymore. You are stronger, more aware, more grounded in your faith. And that change within you is powerful, because when the external ease finally comes, and it will come in the way Allah wills, you are now prepared for it. You are no longer the person who would have been shaken easily. You are someone who has been shaped, refined, and brought closer to Allah through the very hardship you once wished would disappear. There are moments when every possible path in front of you seems blocked. You think through every option, you try different approaches, you seek help, you make dua, yet nothing appears to open. It feels like you've reached the end of what is possible, and from a human perspective, maybe you have. But what you define as impossible is only based on your limited understanding of how things work. Allah is not mahdudud by the systems you are bound to. He is not restricted by time, resources, or probabilities. When He wills something, He does not need the usual means to make it happen. He creates ways where there were none, opens doors that didn't exist, and changes circumstances in ways that no one could have predicted. You might be looking for a solution within the paths you already know, a specific opportunity, a certain person, a familiar route. And when those don't work out, it feels like there is nothing left. But Allah's Qudrat is not confined to what you can imagine. The way out may come from a direction you never considered, through people you never expected, or in forms that don't match your original plan at all. Sometimes the situation shifts suddenly. After a long period of stagnation, something changes in an instant. Something changes in an instant. A door opens that had always been closed. A problem that felt permanent begins to resolve. And you find yourself wondering how things turned around so quickly. But that shift was never random. It was always within Allah's plan, unfolding at the exact moment it was meant to. Other times, the way out is gradual. Small openings begin to appear, one after another. A step forward that leads to another step, then another, And when you look back, you realize that what once felt impossible was actually being solved piece by piece in a way that built stability and growth along the way. The challenge is that you are often focused on the nihayat, wanting the complete solution immediately. But Allah may choose to guide you through a process that strengthens your patience, your trust, and your reliance on Him. Because the maqsad is not just reaching ease, but becoming someone who remains connected to Him, regardless of the circumstances. When you truly internalize that Allah can create a way out from places you cannot see, your mindset begins to change. You no longer feel completely trapped by your situation. Even if nothing has changed yet, there is a quiet certainty in your qalbam that a way exists. Not because you see it, but because you trust the one who promised it.